Okay. So we are trying to achieve the logic to get the greatest value among these three numbers. So first condition we have applied that in line number 52, we are comparing that value A B and then A to C. And if these conditions will meet, it means we can verify, okay, if A is greater than B, greater than equals to B, and A is greater than equals to C, that means A is greater. That is a simple statement. The another condition we can apply, if A greater than, or we can see, check B instead of A. If B is greater than A and B is greater than C, is clearly stated, okay, that B is greater. So here we can use a single if as well, but the programming efficiency will be less. Why that efficiency will less? Because each and every time, either that first condition or second condition will meet. This condition, suppose it will meet, and the message will display that A is greater, but still that program will check this condition as well. And if we try to write the third condition also, we need to check C greater than A and C greater than B. It doesn't matter if that first criteria will meet, the program will check and execute this condition also and this condition also. So that efficiency will be less, because unnecessary these two conditions will executed by the compiler, because the first condition is already made. Why we are executing this line of code, right? So it's totally depends how we we will apply that condition and how we will apply that logic very efficiently, so that the resources and the process time need to be less. So instead of a single if, we have to use else if as well, or here we can use only else. So that is very clear and straightforward. If A is greater than B and A is greater than C, it's clearly okay, A is greater. And again, if this condition will not meet, then it will goes to the else part, and else part we can again check if B is greater than A and B is greater than C, then it will say, okay, B is greater. But if the two conditions will not meet the criteria, then automatically C is greater. It's very clear why we are checking anything. So this way we can efficiently calculate the result, efficiently check the program without impacting any executing any extra line of code. So let me execute that part. 12, 45, 37. So now see the output is wrong, right? The A is 12, 45 and 67. So output is wrong. That means something is missing and something is wrong in the logic. So let's see. And there in a Visual Studio, you can debug your program also. So as you can see, the programmer or compiler will not detect any kind of error, any kind of issue. And when we execute the program, you can see, okay, the output, the input value of A is 12, then the input value of B is 45, input value of C is 67, but here is a message B is greater. Something is wrong in the program. So how we can verify? There is a two way of checking the program logic. The first way is manually. You can start from here and here, that particular line number 63, and identify your logic. Okay, this is the input value, this is the conditions. Here we are displaying the A is greater. Then we can see, okay, here we are displaying the B is greater, but else part we can again displaying the B is greater. The message is identical. That's why in else part B is greater is displayed. So need to correct that message. And another way of suppose revert back the wrong message. Another way to verify your logic is to put the breakpoint. The Visual Studio provide you the feasibility to check each and every line. So this is also important, and I'm trying to explain you that part also. So here that brown strip you can see, and there is a dot automatically appear when you goes to that cursor. When you put that cursor on that line, when that automatically that circle is appear, and if that circle is appear, that means that circle indicated that you are trying to put that breakpoint on line number 49. So depends on your logic, your decision, from where your logic need to be checked. Suppose, for example, I have a doubt on line number 52. So I just put the cursor here and just click. So once you click, it will becomes black to red, and then it will confirm, okay, now the breakpoint is set. Now, if you rerun the program, after taking three inputs, it will goes to that breakpoint. It will not appear here. As you can see, the command prompt is still there, but in a stopping state, because now the compiler goes to this particular section and highlighted that line, and now you can verify your logic. So on the cursor, when you hover the cursor on particular variable, it will show you what the value in the a variable. As you can see, it indicated that a having a value of 12. Again, it indicating that a b having a value of 56, and it indicating that if we execute this logic, especially this logic, so when you hover the cursor on condition less than equals to, it returning true. It's a state that a greater than equals to c, it returning true. If we hover this condition, it's returning false. So that means this condition will not meet. Okay, that is fine, that is correct also, because that a and b is not matching. Now the second condition, so now the b is 56, a is 12, so that means this conditions is satisfied, so it's returning true. Now this condition is also returning true because b having a value of 56 and a is having a value of, sorry, c has a value having a value of 2, so returning true. So that means these all conditions, and there is also one watch window. As in the bottom you can see there is a one watch window. Locals. Here in the locals you can see all the arguments and all the outputs, inputs, whatever the program you are doing, all informations appear here. As you can see, the a value having a value of 5, b is equal to 56, c equals to 12. Each and every information you can see, verify, and how to forward the next step. So here one symbol is there, a step into and a step over. So for a step over, we can press F10 by the keyboard, or using mouse you can click here. By keyword, if you goes to that particular functionality, a step into, then you have to press F11. So for example, if there is some kind of a method and that method are returning something, but you want to verify that method logic, how that value got returned. So need to be go to that particular method and check the inside logic. So in that situation, you can go into that step into and press F11. If you don't want to execute that particular method, you only want to result, then you have to press F10. So here I am pressing F10. So it will go to next line. It's stating that line number 58 is compiling and displaying the value. As you can see in the output, see, b is greater is displaying. So step by step, you can check how your program will compile and how your program will execute your logic and display the output. So here you can see the output will be appear. This
Yeah,
is
it's a
the
very good. It's a very good. I mean, in PLSQL, we have to put message and check each row after
correct.
condition.
Correct. You have to write a print and something, and then you can execute your procedure, and then step by step you can see, okay, this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
condition will
Put
meet, this
message or
condition will
something.
not
See what
meet.
is going on.
Correct. So, but here you can debug each and every step line by line and identify what value comes and what will be the result, expected result. Okay, and in the process of execution, for instance, you are executing something. Let me run it again. So for instance, you can input 3 value, and here you can see, okay, now this is 12, this is 56, and c having a value of I think 34. But you can identify, okay, this logic is wrong, need to correct value because input value is different, but I want to check with the different input value. Instead of 12, you want to put we want to put something 30 or 40. So you can edit here as well. Click enter. Now the value will come change. You need to rerun the program again and again. See, a having value of 56. If you want to change the value of b, you can change the value as well. So anytime you can test your logic, execute your breakpoint, debug your each and every steps, and correct your logic. Okay, so this is a very strong and helpful uh, process of in a Visual Studio to debug your logic. Okay, so this is the way we can implement a control statement, if else conditions, nested if. So nested if nothing, just a if inside a if this kind of a check is there, so that is a if nested if. Okay, so this are this type of control statement you can apply as per your logic whenever needed. Now we can move to the next logic, that is a switch case. So switch case, why we use switch case? Because in a control statement, or we can say in a if else conditions, we have to apply lots of conditions to execute a certain type of code or certain type of execution process, or a block of code. So we decided why not we apply a certain kind of options, or give a particular option choice to the user, and based on the user input we will execute only those logic that user want to execute, instead of verifying all the logic in if else condition or nested if or multiple types of conditions we will apply. Let me explain you the syntax first. So syntax will be, so it will apply, there is a use of there is a keyword switch, and here you can divide input type. So that input type totally decide which type of a statement, or which type of case you want to execute. So this is a statement, then you can start your case. So here switch case provide a keyword called case, and here you can decide what type of case you want to execute based on the input. So this is the first case. Similarly, this is a second case. And if these two cases are not available or not given by the user, then what will we do? We can perform a default one. So default one is also provided by the C#, so that if any case will not meet, or any case of input will not found, then default condition will get executed. The statement execute. So this kind of syntax it will provide to you, and based on your choice you can apply. So for instance, suppose so this is a main method. Oh, let me create another class. Use of switch case. So there is a different class. Now in this different class, I want to create one method void, or I want to create that method static. So you can also see the how use of a static. So add static int add, or that add need two parameters. Now return a plus b. So this is a functionality of add. Subtract. Multiply. Now there is a symbol multiply. So these three, we are creating three methods. Now we also want to create one more method, and this is also a static method. Void display menu. So what types of menu you want to display? So I want to display console.writeLine. Enter the menu. Do you want execute? So the option is console.writeLine. We will give a option one for one, and then we write for add to number program. So this is the first program that we want to execute. If user enter value is 1, then our add to program get executed. Then option 2 for subtract the program, then multiply two numbers. And now, and there is one more option, 4 for close the program. So that 4 types of options we want to execute, and we will provide to the end user. So these are the options. Which options you want to execute, you can decide. Okay. Now, for switch case, what we expect, we need to expect that input value, right? Based on that input value, we want to perform add, subtract, multiply. So we need input. So what we can do, we can write a message to the user. Please enter option to execute. So what option? That input type. So input type we expect in the form of integer, because we ask to user to give the input as a numeric type 1 2 3 4. So that way we expect in a integer format. That's why we convert that value to int 32 console.readline. So this is a way to get input from the user. Now we can apply switch. Switch and then input type, and here we can decide case 1. If there is a case 1, what we need to execute? We need to execute some program, that is add. This program need to be executed, and this program expect 2 value. So can start the parenthesis, and here we can put console.writeLine number. We can do one more thing. After taking the input, please enter the verb choice, and here we can also enter two number for operation. Like that we can give and int a comma b, and a expecting the first value and b expecting the second value. In the top level we can expect two values, and we take that two value into the a and b, and that variable we want to use here a comma b, and then use break. So this is actually syntax of case 1, case 2, case 3, and then default one. So this is the default, and in this default we can write console.writeLine invalid input. This kind of a message we need to display with break. So that jump statement is also needed in a switch case. So here we can use subtract. Here we can use multiply. And this is third option, and this is second option. So here we have decided and define your logic in a display menu. So when that display menu get executed, first of all, it will display this message to the user, and based on the user input, we expect two inputs from the user as well. And after giving that input, based on the input type, the switch case will decide which kind of a logic need to be executed. Either it is add, subtract, or multiply. It totally depends on the user input. And once that add method got executed, that add method is declared here, and it's returning value. It's not displaying value. So only calling that method will not give any output. So add is returning value. So that return value need to be saved or assigned some variable. So we assign that add result to that result variable, because add is returning the sum of the two variable, some of the two numbers that we pass as a parameter. So this add will return the value. So I return value need to be captured. So I declare one variable result, and that result having a value of, now we want to display that result value. So this is another way to display the output using dollar sign as well. So some of the two number, and the number if you want to display, then you can use a plus b equals to result. So this is a upgraded version. In the upgraded version, because we are using Visual Studio 2022 and .NET Framework 4.8, and C# version is 9. So that kind of a new syntax is introduced. So if you use dollar sign, then we don't need to use plus concatenation to include in each and every value that you want to concatenate into that particular string. So simply you have to use dollar, and in the between of that two double quotes value, you can declare whatever you want to show as a dynamic value. So this way you can display that message very efficiently. Similarly, we can write here int result equals to this, and here we can display the result of subtraction, and here result equals to this, and so here we can put minus, here we can put multiply. Now so this is our class. This is our own custom class. This is not an entry point. This method is not an entry point. This is our own custom method that we build, that we created. So now if we execute this program display and this display menu get not executed. So reason behind that it not executed, see the old message and old program get executed because this is a program and that program having a entry point method. So as we know, without entry point we can't execute any program. So in the entry point you need to call your method or logic. So need to comment that part because I don't want to execute this thing again. So I want to execute only that switch case statement and this method. So this is a static method. As you can see, this is another example of a static method. Without creating any instance, we can call that a static method. So this is a class. What you can do, simply use class and display menu. See, without creating an instance of this particular class, we will able to call that method. So simply you just call that method. It will automatically sync up and execute your program. See, enter the menu of that program. So I'm going to enter 1. Then it will ask for 2 input value. So first input value is 12, another one is 42. Now the based on input C, the case second is first get executed, and it will give us the output of two number 12 and plus 45 equals to 56. Okay. If you want to do some kind of a continuity of any program, then you can also do like that. For instance, if I want to perform again, so you can just write after the switch. And here we can write one more thing, that is console.clear. It's just that clear is just for clear the console, so that every time you can get the fresh message. So see, 1 again we are putting so values, some of them. Do you want to continue? If you press Y, again it's displaying the same message again, and it also clear the screen so that previous all the inputs will be vanished. So this kind of way to implement the switch case. Okay, and we can perform multiple tasks based on the user input, based on the case. And so this is all about that control statement and the switch case. So complete till that switch case statement, try to complete it. And if any doubt tomorrow we can discuss, and then we can forward the next iteration statement.